So you're thinking about moving to Plattsburgh, New York, the little city on Lake Champlain that everyone's quietly talking about. Maybe you've seen the mountain views, the affordable homes, or you're just curious what life is really like here in 2025. Well, a few years ago, I made a video about the pros and cons of living in Plattsburgh, and a lot has changed since then. Some things are the same. In this updated version, we'll look at what's better, what's still challenging, and what surprises locals and newcomers the most about calling Plattsburgh home. So stick around, because if you're considering a move to the Adirondack coast, you'll want to hear both sides before you pack the moving truck. So today we're taking another honest look at what it's really like living here in 2025. The good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between. So you can decide if Plattsburgh's a fit for your lifestyle. You know, you never hear about the cons. It's always, here are the good points, but I'm going to talk about the cons. There's a downside to everywhere. Anybody doing video and telling you about an area and what it's like, you need to hear both sides of the story. So that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to start with the pros of living in Plattsburgh 2025 edition. We'll get to the cons, don't worry. But number one is the affordability compared to most of New York State. And this is important because, it all comes down to how much money's in your pocket. Compared to most of New York State, the housing costs and property taxes are still lower than major New York markets. Now, if you're moving here from other states, you can get shell shocked by the amount of property taxes that we pay. It is what it is, but at least for a state with higher taxes, at least it's lower than it could be. That's almost a double-sided coin, and that's almost a con as well. But the affordability compared to most of the state, it's still lower here than other parts of New York. You can often buy a home here for what it costs to rent in places like maybe Albany, New York, or Burlington, Vermont. Some people that move or retire to the area, they want to live in Vermont and maybe Burlington or somewhere over there, but it comes to affordability. It's a lot more affordable on our side of Lake Champlain than it is on the Vermont side. And anybody who disputes that, you can do your homework. You can find it out. But I'm just telling you, that's the case. All right. So another point about affordability here is the utility costs and everyday expenses go farther here. Your money will stretch farther than it's going to some other places, especially if you're a remote worker, because, you're home, and we have pretty decent, even fiber optic internet coverage in quite a bit of the area here, even some of the more remote places, but that was state level government politics that put that infrastructure there. But that's okay. We'll take it. I've got fiber optic here in my house and I love it. But there are some places in our market that utility prices are a lot lower than you'll see. And one of those is right in the city of Plattsburgh. In addition to the city of Plattsburgh, the village of Rouse's Point, New York, which is in that northeast corner of the state between New York, Vermont, and Quebec. Both of those municipalities have very, very low electric rates, and that's why a lot of the heating is also done with electric, because it's so cheap. So that lower cost of living is often a big reason that people start researching Plattsburgh because of the affordability. But it's not always the case. Sometimes it's other things, like number two on the pros of living in Plattsburgh in the area is the nature and recreation opportunities are everywhere and year-round. Lake Champlain is right between New York and Vermont. So if you look at way at the top, maybe I'll pop a map up here so you can see it. But Lake Champlain is in between the two states, and it's a big lake, and there are fishing tournaments, and there's all kinds of, they do like a wind sails competition in the summer at the Plattsburgh City Beach. And there's a lot of things like that take place in the summer, as well as a lot of parks with swimming on the lake. But in the wintertime, there are also other winter activities that you can do, like skiing and hiking, and maybe not as much hiking, that's more summer and fall, but there's stuff to do year round. And because we're a northern climate, if you like to watch hockey, there are college level hockey, even high school level hockey, Division One, Pro. You can go to Montreal, which is about an hour north of here, and watch professional hockey games. But nature is here everywhere. There's some really nice state parks, like Pointe Rush State Park is my favorite. They have a really nice hike you can do on Long Point, which is part of the park, and that's something you can do year round. But you can go from being in your office to the trails 20 minutes, probably even less, honestly. Locals love the small town pace with the big outdoor adventures, and that's right outside your door. I like to snowshoe, and I literally put them on in my front porch, walk across the street to my brother's house, and go with them and their trails in the back of their house. I mean, it's right there. And if I get really anxious in the winter to get out and do something and stretch my legs, I've even done trails right around my 1 acre parcel that I do just to get out, and it's wonderful. I mean, you can probably see, yeah, it's snowing behind me over on this side. No, on this side. I forgot where my window was, but you can see it's snowing out right now. It's November 12th, maybe a little early, but I don't know if the snow will stay on the ground or not. So number 3 are short commutes and low traffic. I always like to say we don't have rush hour traffic, we have rush minute traffic, and it's usually in this one section of Route 3 in Plattsburgh that's like a half a mile, maybe a quarter of a mile, I don't know. But the average commute is maybe 15 minutes. Even from where I live, I do real estate from my home, so if I can ever help you with that, I'd be glad to. But my home office, where I am right now, is like 12 minutes to shopping in the mall and just different places that I want to go, 12 to 15 minutes. So you can run errands, grab coffee downtown, be home by dinner. I mean, you can be in and out of Plattsburgh pretty quick, but you're not going to be sitting in traffic jams. And if you have to wait for the second light on something, it's like, well, that's just unusual. But rush hour here is more like a light jog. So that's definitely a pro. So number 4 on the pro list is friendly, tight-knit community. People look out for one another. I know everywhere says that, but it seems like that really does happen. I was in the Air Force for 20 years, and we lived all over the place. And we would go to the store. We lived somewhere like in Southern Virginia for 5 years. We'd go to the store. We wouldn't see anybody we knew 99.9% of the time. Here, I mean, it happens all the time. It's unusual. I go somewhere I don't recognize somebody. There's a guy that works at Target in Plattsburgh, and I went to high school with his sister, with his wife. But I mean, I'm always seeing somebody I know. I'm always out and about. So that's kind of a nice thing, is it gives you that small town feel where you know people. I mean, whether they're your neighbors or not, I mean, you know people. There's also a lot of local festivals and summer markets and small businesses and downtown parades that are really kind of cool. Maybe 2 or 3 parades a year, and fireworks in the summer, and Battle of Plattsburgh parades and things like that downtown July 4th, and there's a Christmas parade coming up. Those are just really neat things to do. It just gets you out, especially the Christmas one. I really like that because it's cold out, and was it last year, I think? And it was snowing out, and it was just, I mean, it was Hallmark Channel, really, it was, except nobody fell in love with somebody that they moved back. Anyway, but just the small businesses and all that type of stuff happening, they had a mobile coffee cart. It's like, I know who that is. That's Rebecca. Her older sister and my sister went to high school. I knew her parents really well. And you just see those connections all the time. It's really nice. It's also perfect for people who want to slow down from living in a big city with a fast pace without feeling isolated, because we do still have, access to education and culture, which is number 5. We have 2 colleges right in the city of Plattsburgh. One is SUNY Plattsburgh, which offers 4-year degrees. So they offer bachelor and master's degrees. And we also have Clinton Community College, the place that I started my higher ed at and graduated from a long time ago. I won't say when. When it starts with 19, you don't do that. But anyway, but both of those bring diversity and the college town energy and younger people, and just a lot of things that happen associated with having having them here. My notes say concerts as well. It's like I don't know if that really is the case, but it definitely brings diversity and a higher energy, because we are kind of that college town. And one unique thing with SUNY Plattsburgh is the campus area is is right in the city. It's not like a lot of college campuses where they're all out there and you only drive in this one or two roads to get in and you never see anybody there. It's literally on Ruger Street in Plattsburgh. Google it, you'll find it. And you drive right down that road if you're going from wherever to wherever. And there are crosswalks because there's college on both sides and people walking around and stuff like that. But they also, work in stores while they're here and, frequent restaurants, and they're part of our community. Um, so that's good. And, for people that are families, they're good schools, sense of community, a lot of cool events that they do, throughout, like I mean, my kids are out of high school now, actually out of college. But there's an elementary school right down the road, and they have grandparents' days, and they have, like for Halloween, they have like a costume parade that they do around the front of the building. Except this year because it's pouring rain. But they do a lot of really neat things like that. That just bring the sense of community together around the school. They used to do like a reading night and just stuff like that. So if you have kids that are young, you get it. Those are the type of things you want to see. Number 6 on the pro list is strategic location. Look, I'll probably pop a map up. I like to do it. I always get this wrong. Right over where the window is. Maybe I'll pop up a map so you can see where we are. To the north of us, like from where I am, I'm just west of Plattsburgh in Cadyville. From here to the Canadian border is about 30 minutes. So 30 minutes, pretty close. And then another 30 minutes north of the border is Montreal. Montreal, Canada is, I think the last time I looked, it was the 13th largest city in North America. That's pretty good. It's an hour from here. So it's very easy to visit Montreal and to go to great restaurants and check out their culture and things. A few years ago, we went with some friends of ours to it was like an outdoor light exhibit where they had all these cool lights and you walk through and it was like however long. But it was wintertime. It was cold, but everybody was out and they were enjoying it and walking through and they would have animated light things and they even had a part where if you didn't want to walk through you could drive through, but it's just really cool to do. One of those things that down here in the smaller area of Plattsburgh, you're not going to have something like that because of the cost and you don't get enough people and all those normal things. But Montreal is an hour away and you can go up there and do all kinds of stuff. So that's a plug, the strategic location where we are here. And then to the east of us, on the other side of Lake Champlain and a little south, is Burlington, Vermont. It's a bigger city. You have from here to there. The easiest way is to go by ferry. One person, you drive your car onto the ferry. So one person in your car is like $19 one way, which, it is what it is. But you can also drive around north. There's a bridge up by the border in Ross's Point, the place with the cheap electricity. And you can go around that way. It just takes another 20 minutes maybe. So you can do it that way if you don't want to pay the ferry. But Burlington offers other cultural things because it's a bigger city than we are here. So the bigger you are, the more things that are offered because there's just more people and you know how all that works. So there's a short drive to Montreal, a little shorter drive to Burlington, and then you can drive into the Adirondack Mountains to Lake Placid. Lake Placid from where I am is about 40 minutes, about the same as going to the border, up to Ross's Point. So Lake Placid was the site of the 1932 and the 1980 Winter Olympics, and they were trying to squeeze in a little bit of and be one of the sites for some of the events for the Winter Olympics in Italy in 2026 in February. I'm not sure how that worked out, but they're trying to do a couple events because usually what happens is it always ends up being too warm. Even in the 1980 Olympics, they had to like make snow and bring it in, from other parts of the Adirondacks because it just ended up being too cold or too warm when the Olympics were happening. So that is what it is. But so our strategic location, you get small town life and you get big city access. So that's kind of a really strong point for a lot of people. And Plattsburgh's even nicknamed Montreal's U.S. suburb. So that's kind of cool. You know, Montreal's a cool place. I like to go up there. It's close to Krispy Kreme too. But anyway, there's some other places that I'll share with you that my nephew recommended to go because he goes up there or used to more often. And rounding out our pro list is the cross-border economy and job stability. We have over 100 Canadian-owned businesses that have a presence here, creating jobs in especially manufacturing and logistics. So the cross-border economy lately has been affected a little bit by comments of our president about let's make Canada the 51st state. That doesn't go so well when we're right on the border and a lot of people have family on the north side of the border, and there's a lot of traffic back and forth. A lot of people come from Montreal and the suburbs around Montreal down to Plattsburgh for shopping because we have access to stuff that they can't get north of the border. Like they really like to come down and visit our Target. Target used to be in Canada, but closed. But it didn't work out. So they like to come down and visit our Target, our malls, just all our stores and our restaurants, and stay the weekend. And some people even move down here when they retire because it's more affordable than living in Montreal. Or people who work in Montreal that have to drive from a suburb of Montreal because of affordability. Sometimes they move down here when they retire. I had a couple that I helped a year and a half ago, maybe, that did just that. So the cross-border economy lends to job stability. We had a manufacturing plant called Nova Bus that manufactured the really big city buses. Well, they decided to close that plant. Microbird from just north of the border that makes slightly smaller buses decided that they would take over the facility, and it was seamless. So they kept, I think, most of the people that they had, and it worked out great for everybody. And now the much anticipated, I'm sure, cons of living in Plattsburgh, 2025 edition. I'll just tell you that I've lived in this. I grew up in the area here. I didn't live here the whole time. I was in the Air Force for 20 years and lived around the world. But when I retired from that, I moved back here, did some work for a few years, and then got into real estate about 11 years ago in 2014. And some of the things that I'm able to do as a real estate agent are because I have lived other places. And what does that have to do with the cons? Well, I've lived other places. So I've lived in bigger cities. I've lived in smaller cities. I've lived in third world countries. I've lived in, in Europe. I've lived in, different places like that. Been to a lot of other places in the Middle East and South America and all over the place. So that just gives me more perspective. So, like I said, if you decide after looking at all this as part of your research on moving to Plattsburgh, call me and I'll help you find a place to live. That's what I do. That's what I enjoy doing. And that's why I'm providing this content, because it's a lot of the things that I get feedback on what we really wish we knew before we move. We don't need, who cares about what the best restaurants are when you haven't even decided if you're moving here yet. That's down the road content for you. But one of the downsides can be longer, cold winters. It's November 12th when I'm filming this, and it's snowing outside my yard, as you can see over here. Hopefully it doesn't stay and it melts a little bit before winter sets in. The gauge for me has always been when winter really starts is if I have to bring the Christmas decorations up from the basement out the outside stairs or the inside stairs to the basement. It's 50-50, so I usually just close up the basement and bring them from the inside access. But let's be honest, it snows a lot. Some years more than others, but that's normal for anywhere. Um, but winters can stretch from November until April. That doesn't mean you won't get snow in May or June. God, hopefully not June. But into those months, it's more unlikely then. April is usually when it's done. Doesn't mean that it's going to be heavy winter packed, but usually by March, most of it'll be gone. But you'll still have snowstorms in April. What are the coldest months? Usually January, February, or mid December to mid February. It's not the same all the time, but uh, it snows a lot. It gets cold. You'll need a good snow blower, to clean the driveway. My driveway is 100 feet long. I use a snow blower because I'm not shoveling that. That's crazy. We did that the first year we moved here in like early 2000s, and we did that one season, and then we got a snow blower because there's no way. But you'll need a good snowblower, warm boots, and patience for plow delays. Usually, depending on where you live, will depend on how long it takes for things to really get cleared up. It doesn't take as long as you might think, but if you live on a secondary or even worse, a tertiary road, it takes longer. Primary roads are primary roads. Most people travel those, so those are cleared first. But you just got to plan for it. You have to be warm enough. So I've got a hoodie on today because I was outside doing some stuff. But you'll need warm boots, a good snowblower, a couple shovels. Um, it always cracks me up when you walk in somewhere like Lowe's and when it's raining in the summer and they bring the umbrellas out. It's like, oh, I'd never thought to buy one of those before it actually started raining. Well, they do the same thing here with snow shovels. First snow shovels, I bet if I walked in Lowe's today, there would be snow shovels by the door because, oh yeah, I didn't think of that before it landed on the ground. But anyway, I'm just having fun. So number 2 on the con list is limited shopping and nightlife. I like to wear nice dress clothes, when I'm doing real estate. I mean, today I'm kind of hunkered down, but um, there's not a lot of good opportunities in Plattsburgh for like men's dress clothes. Um, so you got to sometimes shop other places for that. But there are fewer big box stores and entertainment options compared to larger cities. Well, you might say, well, no, duh, that makes sense. So we do have, the usual, Super Walmart and the Sam's Club and the Lowe's Home Improvement and a Target and, a lot of, things like that. We've got an Aldi's, which is a common grocery store, and, food chains and stuff like that. But those are really the bigger ones. We've got a Kohl's, but it's a smaller one. If you want a bigger Kohl's, you go to Burlington or south to Albany, New York. Going north for clothes isn't usually a good idea because we have access to more than they do in Canada. So that's why usually from Canada they'll come down here to shop for some of those type of things. And entertainment options compared to larger cities. I mean, we have a couple movie theaters. One's, I think, a 6 screen, and the other one is, I don't know, something similar to that. But there haven't been a lot of movies being made either. So entertainment options, they're going to be like, we don't have a mini pot. We used to, and they got turned into a restaurant that closed during COVID. That's just one of the normal things. But there are other things depending on what you want to do. I mean, there's 3 or 4 golf courses within half an hour. You might want to go to Burlington or Montreal or Albany, New York for specialty shopping or for concerts. You could go. Burlington has some, not really a whole lot in Burlington, but Montreal has the Bell Center, which has quite a bit of concerts. And then south of here, going towards Glens Falls, Saratoga Springs, New York, Albany, New York, there are more concerts there. And we're 4 hours from Boston. And that's a drive, 4-hour drive. So that's an opportunity as well. So there are opportunities like that. They're just a drive because we're a small town. So the downside, the cons: limited shopping and nightlife. Great for quiet living, but not ideal if you crave the constant nightlife. On a Saturday night, you could go down the main drag in Plattsburgh, and it's just like, where is everybody at 7 o'clock at night? And it's common that, like in downtown Plattsburgh, a lot of restaurants are closed on Monday, except usually one, and that's the one we went to last week called Yama Sushi. Really great. We always get the bento box. So downside, you know, not a whole lot of nightlife. Bars and places to go dancing is just like, there's a little bit, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't do that. So anyway, so another downside is number 3 is a smaller job market. Most opportunities are in education or healthcare, service industries, but we also have a lot of manufacturing in Plattsburgh. And I was talking with my brother who today, and we are talking about, it seems like there's like a lot of advertisements for manufacturing jobs lately, and we agreed. So I might do a whole nother video just on that, because there are a lot of opportunities in manufacturing sector jobs. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to be on the line and you're going to come home and look like you worked in the coal mines or anything. It's not like that. There are a lot of, but anyway, you can research that if you want. And there are places that will train you for the manufacturing jobs if the company doesn't do it themselves. So as far as tech and large scale corporate growth, not really a whole lot of tech sector jobs. There are tech support companies, but they're usually smaller companies because we're a smaller area. So you have to think about, everything is scaled based on the size of the economy. The size of the economy is scaled by the number of people. So when you look at the city of Plattsburgh, or even the town of Plattsburgh, I think is about 19,000. Clinton County, which is a little bit, bigger geography, is about 81,000, 82,000 people. So you have to just factor that, some places have hundreds of thousands of people in a city, while we have tens of thousands. So our economy and our job market is scaled for that. Things do exist. That doesn't mean that they have openings, but it seems lately that there are growth opportunities, especially in manufacturing. Some of our, like our rail manufacturer just got like a huge contract. I'll talk more about that in another video. Remote work has helped, but job diversity is still limited. Some places still do remote work. So that helps. When people buy a house here, they're like, what's the internet like? It's like, let me look at the pole. Oh, see that's fiber optic. Yeah. Or, oh, you've got cable, which means broadband. So, so smaller job market. Number 4, slow pace of development. That is a reality. Some public projects have stalled or been delayed. Roads and infrastructures. Road and infrastructure, that's usually taken care of. I know the town of Plattsburgh has had challenges on the former Air Force Base, where some of the older infrastructure there is just wearing out. And new housing is really a tough nut to crack. I know it is a lot of places. We don't have housing developments that go up very often. Usually the ones that are actually a development with more than 4 units, say, are is usually a state funded mix of affordable and market housing, apartments. There aren't really developments where there are new townhomes going up with 500 units or something like that. That just, people say, well, why isn't that happening in Plattsburgh? It's not that we don't want it to. You could probably build 200 houses in a development and fill them. But the builders look at, do I need to travel there to be able to build? Okay, well, if you're in south of us, a couple hours, like north of Albany, New York, which is the capital district, and even up to Glens Falls, New York, if they can build all the houses they want in that area without having to come up here over the mountains of the Adirondacks, why would they do it? And they can get probably the same or more price-wise down there. Then that's what hurts us, because there isn't that draw where they can build here and make as much money as they'll make down there. And just like over in Burlington, Vermont, they have a lot of housing that that's being done there. It's usually it's mostly rentals, but I've seen some other developments where they have condo or townhome type developments going up. And if they can build all the ones that they want over there without having to come over here, why would they come over here? And that's one of the struggles that we have. We have a lot going on in the area, but just making it worth them to come up here to build more housing that we need, it's really tough. So slower pace of development is number 4. For go-getters used to fast-paced change, that can be frustrating. I just wish they would build, baby, build. But they haven't, so that is what it is. Number 5 on the con list is income and poverty gaps. The median income, according to the note that I have here, is 54,000. Another reference site had it more around 65,000. And it's also estimating that 1 in 4 residents live below the poverty line. So that is a downside. You'll notice pockets of the city doing well and others that struggle. That's probably the nature of most places, but when you're a small community already, you probably notice it a little bit more. So it's a mix of opportunity and challenge depending on your situation. One of the hard things, to be honest, is to move here right into a purchase because maybe you want to get to know the area first. Finding a short-term rental, that can also be a challenge too because, like I said, everything is a scaled issue. We have housing available, but we have certain numbers available. Rentals are available, but more limited, so it can be tough. So that is a mix, and also if I can help you try and find housing, I'll be glad to. If you decide that you want to buy, I can definitely help you with that right away. If you want to find a rental, I can put out what you're looking for to my network of people that I know in the area and see if they have anything that might fit what you need. That's often the best way to try and find something. Number 6 on the con list is limited public transportation. This can be really hard. I mean, it's to the point where one of the big discussions this past year was where to put the Greyhound bus terminal. What? Yeah, exactly. So when we built the new airport, there was a whole part built for public transportation designed to be the bus terminal for Greyhound, which offers the regional and Greyhound is. But they didn't want to use it because they don't want to pay the overhead that they would be charged to have the facility there. It would have been beautiful. So instead, they were meeting in the parking lot of a convenience store, and they were there for a long time on the other side of town. And it just got to the point, okay, well, you can't meet there anymore. And then they decided to just meet over by where our more regional transportation hub is, by the government center. Well, then people got mad because they're parked in the middle of the street. It's a great spot because you could, say, take a train from Albany or Montreal down and get dropped off there, and then you could pick up with the more local transportation on the other side of the road and get to where you needed to go. But that didn't work out. So Greyhound moved to a spot about 2 miles from where the other one is. So the two transportation options aren't connected. So it is what it is. Even Uber can be tough because, everything's scaled, right? You only need so many people to do Uber. Who will do like an early morning Uber to the airport? Not a whole lot of people. So that can be a challenge. So a car, if it is pretty much essential for transportation, unless you live, well, even if you live in the city of Plattsburgh, it's still a couple miles to where the grocery stores are, and not that it's out of Plattsburgh, it's just like from one end to the other. So a car is pretty much essential. Bus routes do exist, but they don't cover everything, and they're not going to take you probably where you need to go. Especially in rural parts of the county as well, farther out from Plattsburgh, there are some bus runs, but they're limited. And in the winter, walking or biking is not practical for most people. So that really is, a downside. So number 7 on the con list, weather-related costs. We talked about that a little bit. But heating bills and snow removal, they add up quick. I know even the church that I go to, we pay over $6,000 a year to have the snowplow work done, which is crazy. I mean, I get it. It's overhead for the company that does it, but that's still a lot of money. So heating bills, fuel oil for your tank, a 275-gallon tank. If it's $3 a gallon, you may use 1.5 or 2 tanks of that a year. If you live in the city of Plattsburgh, like I mentioned, you've got electric rates which are cheaper, but you still are using more of it because it's zero out, or we do get below zero weather sometimes, and even if it's in the 20s regular, it's still cold. You gotta crank it up. So heating bills and snow removal, that can add up. Roof maintenance, your roof may get more wear and tear because of the cold weather and all that. They put salt down on the road, so that wears your car down more. Cars don't last here as long because of the salt used in the wintertime eats away and will rust out the bottom of your car after a while. And then general wear and tear are, because of the weather, are real expenses here. It's just a fact of living here. So you pay less for housing, but you pay more to stay warm. So not even with those cons, I mean, Plattsburgh has something special, and for a lot of people, the balance still leans toward the pros. So I lived all over, retired from the Air Force, and we moved back here because we liked it. So that's the updated list of pros and cons for living in Plattsburgh in 2025. If you've been thinking about moving here, it really comes down to lifestyle. Do you love 4 distinct seasons, small town comfort, and being close to nature? I do. That's why I moved back. Or are you someone who needs the pace and amenities of a bigger city? Well, if you're moving here for a job, you're going to love it. You won't have a choice. If you take the job, you're going to live here. But at least you've got a connection with me on and what the area is like, so that will at least help. And if you're moving here to retire and move back closer to family, or even what some people do, they have family in Montreal, so they move to our area, which is close to the border, but still the U.S. amenities, then that's what a lot of people do. So you can reach out to me if I can help you relocate to the area, answer questions. You'll see my contact info on the platform that you're looking at this. And hey, if you found this helpful, hit the like and subscribe button for more videos about living in Plattsburgh and living in the Adirondack coast. Look forward to seeing you in person.